welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday. Now get ready for tomorrow. Powell going on the microphone. Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This is your boy TraderPrad. TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. Working. Hello, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Let's make sure the mic is working. How is everyone doing on this fine evening, night, morning, wherever you're watching me from? It is time to watch your boy TraderPrad. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, Toronto here where I live. I guess I shouldn't say Toronto, Brampton where I live. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Time to talk about the markets. Time to prepare for tomorrow. Time to dissect my trading on the day and see how I could potentially do better the next day. Overall, real quick synopsis of how today played out on the market. I mean, fairly weak. Market is going down. You have the volatility going higher. VIX up later on in the day, going a little bit lower, but still up 2% on the VIX, just slightly below 20. And QQQ having multiple down legs over here, back-to-back down days, and each day just seems to be taking out the previous day's lows and struggling to even stay above the previous day low. So the characteristics haven't seemed to change just yet, but we'll see if tomorrow that changes a little bit going into the Nvidia earnings report. So obviously a little bit of a failed break of the all-time high of both the QQQ and the S&P 500. About 5% pullback on both of these markets, on the QQQs and on the SPYs. So does that mean bear market is in session? Does that mean Timothy Bear Lemaine here that we have is going to finally have his go at the market? We'll see if it plays out that way. The last one was in August, I guess, of 2024. I call it the 7-day August recession. It was actually 26 days of down move. I only remember as 7 days of down move. Anyways, we got potential down move of at least 10%. I think it's 20% if the market is down more than 20% from all-time highs, or is it 10%? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is officially known as the bear territory. I still think the market is got a little bit of a way before we start thinking about those conversations. At the moment, you know, you can see how the previous support low was right around 500. If we do dip back into that previous swing low, it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to it. But just a straight drop to that would be an amazing long opportunity if you ask me. That's a great long opportunity if the market opens up tomorrow and drops into $500 area right off the open. I think buying a long or getting long for a day trade is absolutely viable. So it depends on how we get there. If we slowly trickle there all throughout the day and the selling is just constant, steady, and outweighing the buying at every single step like it was today, but it stopped after a while, right? But if it was constant and if it was steady all day to the downside and we move into 500, that is going to be oof. You know, how does the market react to that type of selling tomorrow? So not sure how the market actually sets up tomorrow. I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict the future, but what we can do is create a watch list with the stocks that are in play, like the ones that reported earnings, the ones that moved recently from earnings, or any specific news catalyst. For example, SMCI, they finally filed their 10K filings, so we're gonna go through that a little bit, go through some of the earnings names and see if we can find any easy money layup opportunities, a good big picture intraday swing trade setup that's possible tomorrow for us to capitalize on, at least for myself to capitalize on. And if you guys see any trades over there, feel free to hitchhike with me on that trade ride. Let's start with quickly my trades on the day. My best trade on the day, FMTO, small cap name. Absolutely slammed this trade if you ask me. Could I have more size? I think I could have had more size for sure, but I'm pretty happy with how I traded it. A couple things that I could have done better. I did not need to exit the way I did on the stock. I think the first exit would have been in this area. Then I could have added over here on that breakdown, and then the next exit would have been somewhere over here, next exit over here, and then I add on that breakdown also, or I probably get stopped out of my trade somewhere around here, and then I re-enter the trade potentially on this weakness on this area, or on the breakdown of the no man's land, and take advantage of the next leg down on FMTO. I could have also technically drawn trend lines. Now that I'm seeing the trade itself, I could have potentially drawn some trend lines and caught that second leg. Let me just show you right there. Instead of shorting where I did, which was at $5, I could have basically shorted 540 and risk 580, $6 kinda, and been having technically a much better trade. Not really. You could potentially even risk somewhere above these last two candles and not even having to give all the way up to $6 if it kind of reclaims this trend area, reclaims the 9 EMA, reclaims the 21 EMA by popping back above this trend area. Then the trade basically is negated. There's just no more shorts because the stock is going back through the EMAs, which it's clearly rejecting the 21, rejecting the 9. So if it does manage to pop back through that trend line, then there's just no more short. So you have a nice trend line. At this point, you just look for the breakdown. You can risk kind of the high at this candle, 560, you're short 540, 20 cents a risk, and you're enjoying a nice move to the downside all the way into $40. So that could have been a way for me to catch the trade. I'm just gonna leave these trend lines in for me to take a look at. This was a spot to add after it broke the trend line. I hesitated. Instead, I covered some shares, so that was idiotic. So like I said, could have made a lot more money on this trade had I just stuck to my exit rules properly. So in terms of sticking to exit rules, I gotta give myself an F because I didn't stick to my exit rules. I just started throwing out orders randomly at a dollar per share distance, and the last few shares I just kind of said screw it, I'm just gonna take you know, the 5-minute bar exit, which should have been the first exit. That should have been the first exit. Second exit should have been if the stock gets above the 9 EMA, and then the final exit should have been if the stock gets above 21 EMA, both of which it never does and actually walks itself to the downside into the $4 area. So swing, I hit a little bit of a home run, but a swing and a miss is how I would classify this, because could have done way better. But hey, getting better at trading small caps, but I can't keep using that excuse every single day. I have to actively work on trading these setups better. Okay, Coinbase. So Bitcoin obviously getting slammed to the downside. We talked about that yesterday, I believe. However, I was a little unprepared for this breakdown. So missed on this breakdown for Coinbase, missed the breakdown on MSTR. I tried it on IBIT, didn't really work out for me. I think I didn't get filled on the breakdown below 50, and it just kept going to the downside. Then I tried the 49 breakout. We'll talk about IBIT in a bit. But the overall was a little unprepared for Coinbase and for MSTR, so missing on a monster short opportunity, but later on able to capture a good long. I thought I would be able to get this all the way to VWAP, but it just got stopped out, I believe, on the 5-minute candles or on the 2-minute candle low. I can't remember. I have to go look at my notes. I get stopped out over here. Later on, I'm able to get short and add to my short for a nice second bag run to the downside. So not only do I bag the long, I also bag the short on Coinbase. QQQ, quick little scalp to the long side. I think my manager pointed this out, that if this market reverses, it could have a really good move to the north side. It gave a decent trade, it gave a decent scalp, but this was the move that I guess he was looking for. It just didn't work out at that moment. At that moment, the market was still very weak. Every single pop off the lower day was just getting sold off, and then they basically shook off all the stops of the longs into the lower days, and trapped some new shorts into the lower day, and then managed to really go back higher. They did give you a little bit of a backside scalp entry over here, which is kind of what I was looking for. I anticipated the backside scalp long technically, which you could have done over here too, and enjoyed the ride back to the north side. But hey, I got a quick scalp. I'm not too upset. But this one, I'm upset. I piked the short on Tesla. So kind of was prepared for this. We talked about this also yesterday. If the market's weak, look for Tesla to join the party. Has been one of the more weaker stocks. They also had their own Europe sales data coming out, if I remember correctly. So that took Tesla to the downside. There were plenty of shots that you could have had. 320 breakdown, 321 breakdown, the opening range 5-minute breakdown. So there were just so many levels that you could have played off of. Eventually, the one level that I decided to play, I shit the bed on it, and you know, it just happens to be that way. This could have been an easy $10 per share winner. Instead, it was a flat trade for me, a flat trade. Tried the lower day breakdown. As I said, I wanted the $50 breakdown. I didn't take it because I don't really like the way the chart looked. There was a one-shot move from the opening range right into $50. I would have liked some consolidation into 50 and then a breakdown, but it just didn't give me that. So straight to 48. And I did try to take some fills into 50, I'll be honest. They just didn't give me any shares to the downside. Later on, did try to take the 49 break. It looked profitable. Then it stopped me out. Then it looked like it was going to go without me. I was going to get pretty upset because if I saw that go, eventually it didn't go. So I was like, okay, fine. At least it didn't go without me. That's a good thing. But overall, quick little attempt for a short. Apple. I was calling out the 250 move on Apple in my office, but my manager was probably listening to YouTube or something. I'm not sure, so he didn't hear me talk about Apple going to 250. The idea was possibly looking for a short idea, but yeah, missed out on that short because he didn't respond to me in time. So I should have taken the trade. It's not like I need my manager's approval to take it. I wanted his opinion on the trade because it's a style that I'm not familiar with. So I wanted to see how his opinion is about this trade idea. Eventually, sadly, missed out on that trade. Could have had a nice short around 250. It would not have to even risk too much above 250. The market already weak on the day. Are we really expecting Apple that opens at what, like 247-ish, goes down to 245, goes to 250, really breaking 250 if the market is not able to reclaim VWAP and get above VWAP? Most likely no. So if that's the case, that would have been a great spot to short on Apple and ride it to the downside. However, I got tricked into a long. After the stock breaks this range that it was creating, breaks the range low and pops right back up, I'm thinking there's a possibility here where the stock holds 249 and goes to 250 once the market actually makes the reversal above VWAP. I guess I should have waited for that trigger, which was waiting for the market to firm up and get strong above VWAP, which happened much later on in the day. At that point, Apple was at VWAP and Apple was bouncing off of VWAP itself. So I could have looked for that long over here if I wanted to, but the idea was, you know, I anticipated a long here. I could have just waited for 250 breakout to get long. Instead, I anticipated the long and I got in a little bit early, and I basically lost 50 cents per share on that trade, which I could have not lost to begin with, right? Tesla, but on the 3x leverage ETF. After piking my Tesla trade, I figured I'll move to the 3x leverage stock, which will be much easier to manage. Also, I did not want to short Tesla at the low a day compared to TSLL, because TSLL I can easily manage extra size. If I want to take extra size, which I did, I can easily manage the exit on this one and lose a lot less than what I would be losing on Tesla had I taken you know, equivalent size and so on. So kind of putting that in the back of my head. So I think I made the right call here. I lost, I think one of the biggest loss on my days on the day for me was this name, but I'm not that upset about it. You know, I had a pretty decent open. This loss I'm okay with. Palantir was also a loser, but this one I'm a little upset about. This one I could have managed. You can see the FOMO entry, getting back in and then losing on that FOMO entry too. Just did not need to FOMO entry. And I did the same thing with APP. APP was anticipating a move to the downside after like a triple top. The stock already double bottomed, and I figured, you know, it's a double bottom. How low can the stock really go below 386? The stock was at 500 just a few days ago, and now we're at 380, 360, 370. So how much am I really expecting by getting short here? Granted, there's a little bit of a pattern in this area where you know, you could get short and risk that high, but I didn't even risk that high. I didn't even put the stop up to that high because I didn't want to lose that much, right? So if that's the case, I could have just avoided even taking the entry to begin with. I could have just waited for the news to drop, which is SEC is now going to probe APP. This is basically what happens anytime a short report comes out. If a company has a short report on them, within a week or two, the SEC comes out with a news article saying that they are going to be probing said company. Instead of anticipating that news drop and me getting lucky, I should have just waited for the news to drop and then taken some sort of a breakout entry, or I should say, sorry, breakdown entry to get short instead. But whatever. I lost on this. This one was easily avoidable. Last but not least, trade of mine also could have been avoidable, but battled this one and FOMO traded this one and turned it to the biggest red name on the day for me. So lots of stupid decisions in the middle of the day, lots of stupid paper cuts in the middle of the day, and off the open slash 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, making some really good rational decisions, getting into the right entry triggers, and also, for some of them, not for FMTO, for some of them actually sticking with my exit plans. Okay, so SMCI starting with the short, scalp, missing the bigger move sadly, but that move eventually gets stopped out. If later on I try for a long, and both of those longs I lose, and I turn the winner from the short off the open into a decent loser into the midday of the longs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is basically my trades on the day. How could I have done better today, and how do I grade myself? I will give myself about a B, but you know, realistically I should probably give myself a C or a C minus, because I did not stick to my exit rules on some of the trades. On some of them I did, on some of them I didn't. It's like I'm picking and choosing which one I want to stick to my exit rules. But as I was saying to someone in a Discord today, that you know, holding size, holding position in a trade often comes from your comfortability with the size that you're holding. So if you're holding too much, you will want to get out too quick. If you're holding too little, you will want to get out too late, meaning you will overstay your welcome on the trade. So in a way, you could say that maybe I was oversized, which made me get excited, and also seeing the notional value on my blotter, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in a great trade, I'm in the money, I don't want to see this trade go against me, so I'm starting to trade PNL. So realistically, if I'm being honest and if I'm grading myself properly, a C or a C minus. That includes all the dumb decisions that I did in the middle of the day, and including trades like these where I don't really stick to the ideas properly. So overall, C minus. Gave back a lot of my profits today. Was at 1.5 reward units, but ending with only 0.5 reward units. So that means I gave back 1 full reward unit today, which is pretty upsetting. I mean, you should be upset by doing that, but you can't beat yourself up too much in this game. You know, if you want to be sane in this game, you gotta know where you did wrong, stop doing it, stop repeating those mistakes, and make new mistakes. Sadly, I can't say that I'm making new mistakes here. I seem to be making the same new mistakes, but at least I am now making better entry decisions and better stock selection decisions. So a little victory over there. Still need to be doing better on the exits. All right, SMCI thankfully managed to report their 10K filings today, so most likely tomorrow's watch list, the most hyped name on the day tomorrow is probably going to be SMCI. The fact that they did report, the fact that they did file is I guess a very bullish indication in itself. It doesn't matter if it's a positive report or a negative report, but as long as it's a fact that the report is out, makes it fairly bullish. So the stock making a pretty good climb to the upside after doing that. Tesla dropping 8% after a new car registrations. What is that? A drop in new car registrations in EU, exactly. So that's what I already said earlier. MSTR down 11% as Bitcoin goes down. HIMS down 20%. APP down 8%. Hood down 8%. TIMS, SRE. I don't even know what SRE is. Rocket Lab, Li Auto. So a lot of stocks moving around for the most part. And here is what my watch list looks like. Some names that you already saw on that center point review, center point summary tweet. So some of the names from there, some of the names from the earnings board, and the ones that probably even report tomorrow pre-market. So let's quickly start with the top of the board. We got Kava, because this reported today after hours. Let's go take a look at the report. 225.1 versus 223. Kava new restaurants 15, bringing total restaurants to 367, an increase by 18.8. Same restaurant growth 21.2. Kava restaurant level profit 50.4 million, or a growth of 28.2. Restaurant level profit margin of 22.4, an increase of 50 basis points, excluding the 53rd week of fiscal 2023. Okay, not sure what that means. Kava digital revenue mix was 36.8. 2024, another extraordinary digital. Okay, blah 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 blah. I wanted to see them talk about their stupid beef dish. Are they gonna talk about their stupid beef dish again? Let's see it. I don't really see it anywhere in their comments. Kava's same restaurant growth grew by 13.4. I thought you said That grew by 21.2. Oh, in the quarter and in the year. Gotcha. Including traffic growth of near 9%. We opened 58 new stores in total. Blah, 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 blah. And off the time of the report, stock was down 6.5%. However, I did see a spike back up in the stock. So let's pull up Kava. And let's take a look at the move. Yeah, so I remember seeing a spike back up to the north side on this name. So it's a little bit questionable. I think it's fairly simple to say it's under over $100. I'm nothing wrong by putting that into your notes, so I'm gonna do that at the moment. Fairly simple level, $100. If the stock is actually able to stay above 100, I think it's a no-brainer long at that point. Keep in mind, you know, the stock is growing. They have a revenue growth of year over year. I think they do have a pretty fairly high PE, 218 PE. So stock market might not like that. Let's go to my first. There we go. Let's go here, and I want this one. So Kava, oh, nice, right into the 200-day moving average, the 250-day moving average, taking a nosedive into these moving averages. But that doesn't mean it's an automatic investment, right? This is a pretty expensive name, and it's not a blue chip name like Nvidia, right? And it's also not a restaurant name that people are gonna die for, like McDonald's, or I should even throw in Costco, even though it's not like the same comparable idea. I'm just saying, if people need to start spending money on food and saving money, I'm pretty sure Kava is not the restaurant that they're thinking about, right? So overall, as maybe I just personally hate Kava. All this negative sentiment sounds like just personal bias against Kava for some reason. I've never eaten over there. I've never had their food, so I'm not even sure why I have all this negative sentiment. Part of the reason is because you know, I predicted that the stock will plummet after their IPO, and the only thing they've done is rocket ship to the north side. So a little upsetting when Stradamus makes a call like that and the stock does completely opposite of that. But overall, off the earnings report, we just saw initial reaction to the downside, and then an immediate correction back into today's ranges. So if the stock stays above 100 tomorrow, it's a no-brainer long. You just don't want to be shorting it if it's above 100. However, on the flip side, if it's below 100, then it's game on for the shorts, no matter how good the earnings report might be in your eyes or in my eyes. All that matters is, what does the market think about it? Does the market think it's a good report, and do they think that it's worthy enough to put their money on that position? At the moment, I'm seeing a lot of people being bearish though, so I don't know. First Solar, next stock we're going to talk about. FSLR earnings 3.65 per share, beating estimates of 4.71. A quarterly revenue clocked in at 1.51 billion, beating estimates of 1.46, increase from same period last year, 1.15. Company reported 4.4 gigawatts. Okay, I want to see the outlook. 2025 sales outlook guidance 5.3 to 5.8. We don't see estimates. I love it. 2025 earnings per diluted share guidance 17 to 20. 2025 earnings year-end net cash balance guidance 0.7 billion to 1.2. All of this doesn't mean anything to me without estimates, so sadly I'm in the blind over here. What I could kind of do is, you know, stop being a little lazy and compare this against previous earnings reports and see how the guidance is, and those is the company actually, or is the CEO and the company, I should say, actually promising and keeping up on their promises and holding to their word and so on. So lots of research that could be done here, but I'm not a goddamn investor. I'm not an investor. I'm a day trader. So I don't care most of the time what all of this means. All I care is what price action means. But it's a good idea and a good process to read these reports, because they will give you a big picture thesis that you can play off of. At the moment, looks like they missed on EPS, they beat on revenue, they overall grew year over year by about $500 million or so, but the stock has been on a downtrend on the daily chart. Does this report actually put it back into a correction territory, and looks like kind of, you could say, very similar to Kava, what we just saw in Kava, where the stock initially goes down, then gets back up, and we have a nice, clean, beautiful, even dollar number, which is also today's VWAP, 150. So under over 150, if the stock is below 150, there's just simply no more longs. But if we are above 150, it's easy longs over there, in my opinion. An idea in the same realm that I gave one out yesterday. I did not trade this, but I gave this idea out yesterday. If you were watching for it, you could have capitalized on this easy money trade. This was a long off of $1, risking a breakdown below $1, and you could have gotten a 10-cent scalp right back into $10, even a 15-cent scalp. You got 115, 116 twice on the pops here, and the volume really dies down. So you could have basically caught the backside long near $1 on CHGG. This was an earnings name under over $1. I don't think the stock is getting below $1 today, and it did not get below $1. So similar idea. If it doesn't hold 150, there's no longs, but if it holds 150, there are longs. So a couple ideas over there to keep an eye on, Kava and FSLR. Next up, LCID. $2 name, boring. I mean, I don't want to say boring volume, but it's just like ATR and daily range is boring. Daily range is 6%. That's a 27% range overall from top to down. That's actually a good flat bottom on the stock that it could potentially break down from. Looks like the earnings report was green. They're still losing money, but hey, they made a pop off that nice low that I just put down over there around 261. So nice. I don't know how many bottoms that is. Quintuple, sextuple, octuple bottom coming in around 260, and the earnings report giving it a good bounce. Let's see if the report's good enough. I mean, this is Lucid we're talking about at the end of the day, right? How many of the Lucid motors do you actually see on the streets? I haven't seen many in Canada. I do have a neighbor with a Lucid car, and boy oh boy is the car beautiful to take a look at, but I don't see many of them. I just simply don't see many of them, so I'm not sure how they're making any money. I probably see more Tesla Cybertrucks than I see Lucid Motors. Reported fourth quarter revenue 234.5 compared to 214.22, so revenue, sorry, not EPS. Loss of 22 cents per share versus loss of 27, so BEPS losing less money than expected. Produced 3,386 cars and delivered 3,099. The company ended the quarter with approximately 6.13 billion in liquidity. Okay, that's not bad. We saw significant momentum in 2024. Is that because of their Saudi investment that they had not too long ago? Significant momentum, or was it Aston Martin? It was Aston Martin that they had a partnership, right? I can't remember who they had partnership with. 6.13 billion in total liquidity. We saw significant momentum. Additionally, we made substantial progress in improving our gross margins. Lucid also announced that CEO and CTO decided to step away from his role. From his roles and transitions to a strategic technical advisor to the chairman of the company board. COO Mark Winterhoff has been, that's a sick name. That's a German name, probably a German dude, and obviously he's gonna make Lucid great again, because if you don't have a German CEO as a car CEO, then you probably don't have a good car company to begin with. So I guess things are changing for the better things over here. At least that's how I'm guessing the market's seeing it, right? The market's getting a nice boost, or giving a nice boost to Lucid off of this catalyst over here, because I'm not seeing anything too good in the earnings report that stands out and says, oh, we gotta buy the stock up right now. So potentially the fact that the CEO and the CTO is dropping out, were both of them the same guy, I guess he's dropping out from both of those roles, and Mark Winterhoff will be taken up as CEO. So we'll see how that plays out. Lucid executives will further discuss. Okay, that's the conference call. Stock up 8.05% at the time of the report. So what is 8.5%? 8.5% is Basically to the high today, yawn. Yeah, basically to the high today, yawn. Under over $3 is what I'm gonna say on this name. If the stock gets above 3, I think there is an easy long over here that you might not have to risk too much on the day. But if it does stay below 3, I don't think you want to be shorting this name. So I'm just gonna put, if stock can stay above 3, I like the long. If not, no trade. That's what I'm gonna put in my notes. Not under over. It's a very simple long above 3, or I just don't care to trade this name tomorrow at all. Next one, Instacart, C-A-R-T. How much volume do you actually do? You don't do too bad of a volume actually. So let me delete my drawings that I have. IPO. Do I want to put an IPO? Pop. Let's do it. Okay, IPO VWAP is in. Screw it. Okay, IPO VWAP is in. Stock just reported earnings. It dropped to the downside and actually stayed lower, unlike the last few stocks that we've been taking a look at, which started off the move to the downside and then making a pop. Let's go take a look at Instacart, or should I say Maple Bear. That's right, that's their name, Maple Bear Inc. Canadian company, if I remember. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Reported fourth quarter results after Tuesday closing bell. Here are the results. Earnings 53 cents per share. Beat analyst consensus of 39 cents. Okay. 883 million. Missed consensus of 891. However, an increase of 803 from same period last year. GTV, whatever that is. Up 10%, orders up 11%, revenue up 10% year over year, transaction revenue up 10% year over year. Terrific 2024 for Instacart. No guidance? No guidance, however, or maybe this is the guidance. We ended the Q4. Okay, you're just telling me what already was read, but no guidance. That's pretty sad. 9.96% increase from same period last year. All right, I don't see any guidance. So a little bit of a drop. They are growing. 9% growth maybe is not enough for the name over here. I mean, it's not enough for me. It doesn't get me excited, I'll tell you that. So let's go quickly take a look at their PE. 30 PE, not really that expensive. Let's take a look at where the 200-day moving averages are, right around where the IPO anchored VWAP kind of ends up at. I think IPO VWAP might be a little bit lower, maybe. I don't know, but right around where IPO VWAP is where the 200-day moving average is. Am I looking short? I mean, they are growing and they're not losing money. They're making 53 cents per share a quarter, so they're not losing money either. I'm not sure if I want to be heavily short biased on this name. At the moment, the market's fairly weak, right? At the moment, market's really weak. So if the market is bearish and Maple Bear, or I should say Instacart, just wants to keep dropping to the downside like a rock, like it did in the after hours, then I think the short is viable. But for the most part, I think I'm more so looking for this last month's low of 41.50 or $40 area to come into play, where the stock actually bounces and sets up for some sort of a long instead. So possible long if 40 holds. If 40 doesn't hold, I love the short. So I'll put that in my notes. In case the stock is weak below 40, I love the short, because that means we got a lot more room to the downside, because we are now breaking good support areas, and that's 40 right there. So if we're breaking 40, I don't even know that was 40, I'll be honest. So if the stock is breaking 40, then that is actually opening up some real good downside for us to play with. So I'm not really that interested to look short in this area. I'm not looking to battle the shorts in that area. I much rather look for possible fake outs for the short sellers, and then a good dip by long opportunity for me to dabble with. So we'll see if that comes into play. Instacart, LMND, Lemonade. Do you even do volume anymore, Lemonade? For a $30 stock, you don't do much volume. 5 million shares is absolutely yawn. Actually, let's delete all of the drawings first, because the only drawing I'm now interested in is that $30 area, and the stock is clearly below 30. High priority name. So I don't even care what the report is. The fact that the stock is getting below such a high, important, significant level, a monthly low, a daily low, I am very interested to see how we can take advantage of every single pop on this stock. So at the moment, resistance 30, short all pops below 30, period. So looking to short all pops below 30 on the stock. Very clearly weak on this earnings move. If the stock is above 30, stay away from the shorts. But the fact that it got below this multi support area, I'm just not sure that it's gonna reclaim this tomorrow. Short all pops below 30. If back above 30, no shorts. Boom, no shorts at all if back above 30. Do we need to read the earnings report on that, chat? Okay, fine, let's go do it. Let's go do it. We got the free advice guy. Next up, he's gonna show up on Twitch. I already know his routine. First on Twitter, then he shows up on YouTube, then he's gonna show up on Twitch. There he is. And he basically put the same content. Actually, no, he changes it on Twitter. My man, after hours, the best info. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. The GOAT right here. No, that's you. You the GOAT. But let's go quickly take a look at this report for LMND. This might change my mind. That's why I don't want to read the goddamn report, because if they have a good growth earnings report, it might change my mind completely on the short thesis that I'm brewing in my head at the moment. And thankfully, I love it, they don't even have a proper earnings report over here for me to read. Overall, they're losing on EPS. They're not making money. Sales of 148.8 million, beating estimates by very slightly. And if we go take a look at over here, it'll be no PE mentioned because their EPS is negative. So negative EPS often equals no PE. 100% equals no PE, no forward PE either. So is it a small cap? Pretty much on the edge of a small cap with the 52 million float and a 30% short float. So let's see if shorts are going to get paid tomorrow with the stock finally getting below 30, or are we going to reclaim 30 and it's going to start short squeezing people. So it's going to be a couple good trades over there and high priority. You can see how most of the stocks we talked about are in orange, but Kava and Lemonade are pretty high priority. That could change tomorrow pre-market. That could change. Everything could change tomorrow pre-market. Workday, monster move, nice breakout above last month's high, good consolidation into last month's high, and then a great breakout above last month's high. Looks like that could be a bad print actually. Let's go to the 1 minute chart. Oh, that actually played out exactly as I thought it did not. So that's not a bad print. The stock actually made a move down there and people said, oh, you're giving me shares at last week's high, let me snag up all the shares I can and run up this position into a new high above last month's high. So beautiful move coming in here on Workday. Let's go take a quick look at the earnings report. WDAY. Can I get a better one? Thank you. 1.92 versus 1.78, 2.21 versus 2.18, increase from same period last year of 1.92, 2.04 subscription revenue increase of 15.9%, income was 75 million or 3.4% of revenues. Outlook overall coming in at 2.05 billion, representing growth of 13% for the first quarter subscription revenues. EPS, we're anything for EPS. We got full year subscription revenue 8.8 billion and growth of 14%. Operating non-GAAP coming in at 28%. Nothing about EPS mentioned. Workday unified platform gives customers the ultimate advantage, helping them unlock value faster, reduce total cost of ownership, and harness the power of AI across our best-in-class HR and finance solutions. That's a sick last name. Eichenbach, Eschenbach. How do I say that? Eschenbach. Germans have a sick name, like Toto Wolff. However, I'm a big hater of Toto Wolff now because he got rid of Lewis Hamilton. He could have easily held on to Lewis Hamilton, but I guess, you know, Lewis Hamilton had to go to a better car company for the time being because Mercedes is just shit in the bed. Anyways, we're not talking about Formula 1 right now. Let's come back to the market over here. Workday, good report, decent growth, not monstrous growth, okay growth if you ask me. Revenue is growing, however, operating incomes are also going higher. Everything is blah 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 blah, and the market clearly loved the report enough to the point where they want to take the stock back into, not exactly into, but very close into all-time high territory. So it will be interesting to see how the stock plays out. At the moment, I think it's a very simple dip buy long into earnings VWAP, which is right around that last month's high of 275. However, I don't think we get that earnings VWAP dip by tomorrow. I'll put it in my notes. If I do get that earnings VWAP dip by, I'll keep an eye for it, but I don't think we're gonna get that. So levels in the pre-market will be very important. Keep an eye on Workday. INTU, is this even important of a name for me to keep an eye on? It's a $500 name with the 3 million shares. Nice double bottom on the daily chart there, possibly also into it's below its 200-day moving average. Okay, never mind. But nice double bottom bounce, giving the position right back to the upside. This is like almost a Lucid vibe, a Lucid feel, but the stock's ATR is much better than Lucid. So if you are interested, possibly go read the earnings report on this name. $13 ATR with okay volume for a $600 stock. 6 million shares was it, or 5 million shares average? 3 million shares average, sorry, 1.8 million share average. Let me take that back. 1.8 million share average, and today it traded 3 million shares. Possibly that's because of the after hours and so on, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm that interested on this name. And that is all she wrote for the earnings basket that reported today after hours. The next few lists of stocks that we're just going to quickly skim through are the ones that report tomorrow pre-market. I usually tend to not trade the ones that report pre-market because I have the worst edge and the worst luck. You know, trading involves a little bit of a luck. No matter how you say yes or no, it involves a little bit of a luck. And just so happens my luck, anytime I trade a stock that reports pre-market, they are going to have a conference call right around the time where I am, you know, very deep in the money, and it always happens to be that conference call is going against me and never in my favor. Never do these conference calls go in my favor. So I just tend to not trade these stocks that report pre-market, but if there's a good setup, I'll keep an eye on it. Some of the names here being LOW, NRG, NRG, nice double top, possible breakout through all-time high. Ooh, I'm very interested. Okay, we'll see if this one sets up. Better not screw me with the damn conference call, boy. I'm telling you. AAP, another one to keep an eye on. Let me delete all my drawings. I don't need those anymore. So watching AAP, Advanced Auto Parts, STLA. Possible fun on this name with a lot of tariff conversations floating around. And this also is a very important name for cars and EVs and everything. So it'll be a pretty good name to keep an eye on the watch list. But, you know, the chart's not bad too, if you ask me. If it breaks out and starts holding above 1450 tomorrow, it's almost a no-brainer long to the upside. But if the stock is struggling to stay above 14 on a bad report, or even on a good report, if the stock is struggling to stay above 14, do you really want to go long at that point, right? So lots of questions to ask at that moment. Right now the stock is actually exactly around the previous earnings VWAP. So previous earnings VWAP giving it some trouble, and this current earnings report, which comes out tomorrow, will be the dictator to see if the stock can go up or down. if you were on the stream yesterday, I talked about this trade idea and I did not trade it myself. I'm very upset. Very upset at myself for not trading this trade idea. I'm actually remembering it right now. Oh, idiot Prad, idiot. I called out this trade idea yesterday. The idea was Home Depot. We're not going to see this name going bankrupt anytime soon. It's at the 200-day moving average. If you zoom out, how many instances can you find where the stock actually spent below the 200-day moving average? And that could match up with exactly when the markets were weak themselves, right? So not too long does the stock spend below the 200-day moving averages. Investors come in and they snag up shares as quick as they can. And with a good catalyst, such as an earnings report, it's just a no-brainer long at that point if the report is good. So the report comes out, initially gets a drop to the downside, later on correction, and pops right back up, and a nice blast off the opening drive. However, later on, it didn't really give you a good setup on the day to kind of join the trend, if you ask me. Actually, that's a... That's a decent second chance scalp trade, if you ask me. That's a decent second chance scalp trade, if you ask me. So I'll just quickly put in HD in my notes to kind of write them up. I think I should already have it in my notes. I don't have it in my notes, so I'll just put it in my notes to kind of write up this stock tonight before I go to bed. All right. However, do I want to be trading this name tomorrow? Most likely not. I probably will not be trading this name tomorrow because there's just way better names. Like there's some real good names on the board. Hims, Palantir, SMCI, which we haven't even talked about. It's already 850. Coinbase, Riot. I got so many more names that I haven't even spent time on because reading earnings reports and creating a theory around these earnings reports takes up most of my goddamn time in my life. So let's see how this one plays out. Workday, I don't have anything on my notes. Stella, under, over, 1450. Let's go to Hims. Short pops. I think it's fairly simple to just say short pops. I don't think the stock gets above 40 or has staying power above 40. Pretty big correction, pretty big slap in the face, if you ask me. So I don't think stock has staying power above 40. I'm gonna put 40 as the inflection level again on HIMS. I put it on HD. HIMS. Him staying power above 40 will be important if I want to look long. However, today's candle, is that considered a doji? I think it is, right? I think it is. Palantir, 85. That's an important level. I called that one out yesterday and it actually bounced off of 85 today. I don't think Palantir will be getting below 85 anytime soon, but the question is, does Palantir get above 90? So you got a $5 range for a stock whose ATR is $7, between 85 and 90. We're gonna see how it plays out. Give me a second, chat. Give me a second, I'll be back. All right, I went to go say hi to my niece before she knocks herself out to bed because it is bedtime. She got home a little late today, so I didn't get to see her. I also got her a little gift. It's also my dog's birthday tomorrow, so I bought my dog a little gift. I got him a little stuffed toy that he already ripped to a million pieces. I also got him a little tug of war chew toy. So that one won't be ripped to a million pieces instantly, but he also doesn't like to play with those toys. But I got my niece a little fuzzy rabbit hat that I wanted to see her wear, and I wanted to see how she looks in, and she looks absolutely adorable. So I had to give her that before she goes to bed. So now that that's done, let's jump right back into the market because we still have a couple names over here to go through. So 85 to 90, I think that will be the range to keep an eye on Palantir. SMCI, the most important name tomorrow, hands down. So obviously reporting 10K is a very, very good thing. Looks like they missed EPS, but they beat revenue. But I'm also seeing a lot of chatter on Twitter, or I should say X.com, that their revenue sources are actually not as good, or you know, it's actually only coming from, or 60% of the revenue is actually coming from 2 customers. So you know, a lot of speculation if this is a good report or a bad report. At the end of the day, I'm not an analyst. It's not my job to analyze the report. It's my job to look for a good setup and then play the long and or the short wherever the setup comes into play. So at the moment, the stock is clearly showing a positive reaction off of this catalyst, and if the positive reaction continues to play out tomorrow, the ideal will be to look long on every single dip without a doubt. So I'm not gonna try to fight the trend. I'm not going to you know, overthink this trade at all. I'm just going to be patient, watch for setups to come into play, maybe even wait for the first 30 minutes to play out, let the morning opening craziness to play out, and then I could wait for a nice clear pattern to join trend. So I'm not gonna be too hasty with that name, not gonna try and make decisions too quick. Bitcoin making a little bit of a move below 90k, still below 90k at 88k on BTC. So that obviously is going to put some weight on Coinbase, on MSTR. If you guys listened to me when I said Coinbase short, you would have been how much in the money now? 33% in the money, and it didn't even take that long, right? It took about like 82 days to get 33% return on that short. So you're welcome if you took my advice on that short, because their last, not the most recent earnings report, but the one before that was atrocious. That report was atrocious, and they were popping up off that report. So now that they're actually getting corrected with the cryptocurrency move, I'm actually, you know, a little bit more calmer about Coinbase being up here. So come back to reality, go back into normal levels. You have a lot of competitors. Robinhood is a big competitor these days for you guys. So crypto.com, Bybit, I got hacked for 1.5 billion. That can't be a good thing for any crypto company or any cryptocurrency right now at the moment. So that's kind of affecting the market too, or not the market. That's kind of affecting cryptocurrencies also. But the cryptocurrencies are actually now directly connected to the S&P 500 and to the NASDAQ. Maybe not the S&P 500, but at least directly connected to the NASDAQ through a bridge that has been built by MSTR. MSTR now being in the NASDAQ 100 has basically built a bridge between Bitcoin and the overall market relationship. And now as Bitcoin moves, basically it has a little bit of a weightage. Whatever weightage MSTR has on a NASDAQ will be the exact weightage that the overall move will be playing out on QQQ also, if you kind of understand the relationship. So previously that bridge did not exist without MSTR being on NASDAQ. So now that bridge exists thanks to MSTR. So even directly Bitcoin trades, Coinbase moving, MSTR moving, all of these are also going to put some overall impact on are markets that we trade, such as NQ, S&P 500, Dow, IWM. So you want to keep a track on how cryptos are doing on a day-to-day basis if you're a day trader like me. If you're not a day trader like me, it doesn't matter. So keeping MSTR on watch, Coinbase on watch, and obviously trying to correlate them with Bitcoin. You could have got a really good short on Bitcoin today. I showed you my trades on Coinbase today. They were not because, oh, it's at some previous historical level. No, I'm just watching Bitcoin, and I'm reading Bitcoin's tape using this tool over here, watching Bitcoin, reading Bitcoin's tape, and then kind of just playing off of the chart on Bitcoin and playing the chart off of Coinbase. Pretty simple, just copying the moves and playing the similarities and playing the relationship. You can also do that exact same thing directly on IBIT, which will have a more one-to-one impact of whatever Bitcoin is doing, because it is a direct relationship of Bitcoin. TEM, insider selling now. You also have an offering coming on the stock, a pretty big reversal if you ask me. Monster short opportunity over there on TEM. But I'm thinking the volume starts to die down and the stock slows down a bit and potentially has an inside day tomorrow. So I'm not really that interested for a day trade on TEM tomorrow. Zoom looking like it's going a little bit lower, and that is the direction that I do want to see Zoom always go into. But do I have a trade idea on this? I guess if it stays below 77.50 on pops, it's a good short at that point still. That's basically today's high, previous support. So if it stays below 77.50, looking short on Zoom might still be a valuable trade. I'm not sure if we actually get a pop all the way back there tomorrow though. If the market has a green day, I think Zoom could have a pop back to 77.50, at which point you can take advantage of it. Nvidia, a little bit of a reversal with the rest of the market, but keep in mind Nvidia reports earnings tomorrow after hours, so I'm not going to be looking to make too big of a trade decision on Nvidia, because I don't think some of the big boys will be making a big trade decision on Nvidia. However, Nvidia is just one of those super stocks that trades 100 million shares every single day, that has a $6 ATR, so you can take advantage if you're playing around the edges, or if you're playing with the right setup with the overall market. You know, if you're analyzing a couple things properly and creating a good thesis to create a quick little scalp trade on Nvidia, nothing wrong with it. I just don't think that there's going to be a real big picture trade on Nvidia tomorrow. Tesla making a great move to the downside below that 325 breakdown. Sadly, like I said, I was prepared for this 325 breakdown, but I just didn't trade that one properly at all. That was a swing and a miss on Tesla. You know, it sucks to be prepared and not take advantage of setups like that. So you could look at today as, once again, like I wouldn't say day one, because technically today was like day 3, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 even. But today was day 1 of the breakdown, so kind of can look at today as a day 1 maybe. It'll be interesting to see how the stock trades on the pops. If it can get back into 325, I think watching for some rejection around 325 is for sure on the docket. But if 320 rejects, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. If there's a big seller at 320 before 325 and the stock rejects 320, I wouldn't be surprised by that. People like to park their orders at even dollar prices, so watch how the stock reacts on pops. I mainly want to short the pops tomorrow until the stock gets above 325. Shorting pops until stock reclaims to 325. Apple had a pretty good move today. 250 could have a good breakout to the north side, especially if the market has a green day tomorrow. If the market has some sort of a relief rally day, you might not want to miss out on this long. If market has a bounce, this could really blast above 250. So putting this one as a high priority name for myself tomorrow. I've also seen an opposite of this, where when the market goes higher, Apple goes lower. So you know, that could also be something that you want to be careful of. Oh boy, what is going on over here? Oh, we already took a look at this. I thought this was Microsoft at 250. I was like, what? Microsoft at 250? What are we looking at here? But no, it's actually still around 400, but struggling around 400. What is that line that I just threw in? Is that 399, 400? So basically under over 400 Microsoft. You don't need to think too hard on this one. Under over 400, if the stock is able to stay above 400, you can look long. If it's staying below 400, you can look short. Pretty simple on that game plan over there. Meta now continuing its red streak. It was on a 20-day heater, but all it took was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of red to give back 12-13% of that 20-day move. So Meta on a big move back down, but basically, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Meta goes back into 630 and bounces, and you got exactly that move today as Meta bounces off the $630 area. 640 even. What was today's low? 640. 641.86 was today's low. So basically around 640 we managed to bounce. Don't have any real levels over here on Meta because we didn't really form a clear level on the way down. We just kind of kept slamming on the way down. So if Meta does go back into 640 tomorrow and the market is looking to bounce, I think that could set up for a monster long. So watch out for Meta around 640 again tomorrow. Amazon is having a good, you know, similar to Meta, but this is also a really good bounce over here on Amazon. So, but you could potentially watch it 200, 210, 205, each $5 area in front of 200. Just kind of keep an eye on it. But I already have a lot of large cap names that are in better ranges, in my opinion, that I'm way more interested in. So I'll keep an eye on those instead. Google giving you a good breakdown below 180. These aren't real levels, so those can get deleted. This can get deleted. Okay, yeah, that's better. Yep, that's better. So yeah, I see more downside on Google for sure, no problem. More downside on Google, but I'm not really interested on Google or Amazon tomorrow. Okay, last few names to take a look at. QQQ, S&P 500. This is the pocket of interest for me. If the market bounces between these ranges, that's a pretty good range. That's the 1 ATR range or slightly above 1 ATR range that we could play with. And if the stock is actually getting below today's low and making a move into 500, that's going to be a lot of people panicking. A lot of people on the long side panicking. So I would love to see how it plays out in this area. If we actually get below this 500, 499.50, kind of tick this little low and then set up for a reclaim of 500, I am probably going to risk my whole day on that reclaim area on the right side of the V. I'm not saying the market goes down there tomorrow. The market even going down there is probably like, well, like 2% move, a 2.5% move. So if the market goes down there the day before Nvidia earnings report, that's like, whoa, people really want to sell their portfolios and really exit. I actually follow a portfolio manager. I think their portfolio is like they have really good content on Twitter. Revere Asset, they have really good content on Twitter and on YouTube, and all of that, they're talking about being more cash and taking profits as their exit systems are now triggering on the way down, and they're almost fully out of their growth companies. They're also citing possible problems with tariffs, with money going out of the market because of tariffs, and how that's going to diminish the overall growth rate in the market, and how that might actually affect the possible bull run on the market. So lots of sentiment to the downside and thesis to the downside, bearish sentiment on the market. So if today's low actually breaks and we go to 500, I honestly think there could be a little bit of a long there. Depends how we get there though. So depends how we get there. Watch out for the market. I'm only going to basically trade the QQQ if I do, so I'm going to watch 500 to the downside. And what was today's low? 510 to the upside, basically 509.44. So I'm just gonna say 510 to the downside if we get there. Actually, maybe I'll put 510 as support, and then I'll put 500 as support below that. And then as for resistance, we'll see how pre-market sets up on the QQQ. For the S&P 500, I don't really trade the S&P 500. I don't have that much familiarity with it. Is that the... I don't even know what anchor VWAPs these are, I'll be honest with you. That could be like... oh, that's the August recession low anchor VWAP. I remember that now. Yeah. This could be the trade election VWAP, if I remember correctly. I usually label them. I don't. I got a little lazy. But yeah, market for the S&P 500, that looks like a good reclaim or a failed tick of those lows. But this equivalent low on the S&P 500 compared to the QQQ, I think would be right around here at 580. So if S&P 500 gets down over here and QQQ also gets down into these areas, I think there's a good long there. I'm going to be watching for that setup on both of those. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is basically all she wrote. Murder she wrote. Murder she wrote. We'll see. SMCI is most likely going to take most of my attention tomorrow. But let's dial in and get ready for this beautiful, frothy, volatile, money-making market. I have to go get some food in me because my stomach is rumbling. I'm hungry. And also, I have to do a ton of work. I think I have to write up like 11 stocks tonight. 11 stocks. However, once I actually go through the list of names, I'll probably cut out like 2 or 3 stocks. But that's still a lot of stocks. So I have to head out. I wish you guys the best. Go kill it on the market. This is the final week of February, so get ready to end it with a bang. Hopefully with a good bang and not a bad bang. It's your boy TraderPrad, and get destroyed. Get ready for trade off get ready for the watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna bring in my big screen over here, back to another brand new week of After the After Hours with your host TraderPrad. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, Trader Sync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.